More of the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Welcome back in. That's us on a Tuesday. Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey and 920thejersey.com. 920 AM, Bucks, Burlington, Mercer Counties. 609-919-9200 is our number. Mets in a doubleheader today up against the Cardinals. Yankees in action up against the Astros later tonight, 8:10 p.m. game on Sabathia up against Pfister. And then the Phillies look to win 2 in a row up against the Marlins. They get the victory last night with Eichhoff on the mound tonight. But it's time to talk some football. The Jets, their training camp begins tomorrow. The Giants on Thursday. And the Eagles started earlier this week yesterday. And now joining us, played with the Jets from 94 to 98. And I love this guy's brother because I got to spend a lot of time with him at Temple, and that is Glenn Foley. Glenn, thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
Oh, doing great. Ocean City, New Jersey, great spot for the family.
Oh, nice. Enjoying some of the beach today, I would have to imagine, because it is hot outside.
That not down here, it's not, my friend.
Oh, wow. I got to go down to the shore then, I guess.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We can go live from Ocean City.
Sounds good to me. Just as long as someone pays for it, I'm sure the station here would be more than fine with that. But training camp does start this week. Like I said, the Eagles on Monday, Jets and Giants coming up tomorrow, and then on Thursday. What are some memories that come to mind about your experience from training camp?
Oh, you got to perform. You know, when I got there, Pete Carroll drafted me, and then Leon decided to let him go after 1 year. But, when I got there, it was Ronnie Lott. You know, in the locker room, my first experience going in the locker room was I look up, I see to my left Ronnie Lott, to my right Art Monk, two lockers down Boomer Esiason, and I'm sitting there going, oh my! I had all these guys' rookie cards. You know, these are my idols. Art Monk. I was a Redskins fan growing up, so Art Monk was one of my idols, and I'm sitting there overwhelmed. However, when you get put on the same playing field with you and you have a competitive spirit within you, you try to do your best to compete with these guys, but these are true professionals. And ultimately, I was very fortunate because they taught me how to not just go out and practice and conduct yourself, but how to act in a general way, not just, you know, on and off the field, but just as a general common decency person. You know, Boomer was a great guy. Art Monk was a great guy. Ronnie Lott and I became friends, even though he won. His only funny story, Ronnie Lott said to me, Rook, he called me Rook. He said, Rook, I have one rule for you. When I'm here, you're not.
And now that it's such a politically correct society, and when there's a rookie prank and sometimes it goes too far, it's always written about and people get up on their high horse and say people shouldn't be doing that. What were some of the rookie pranks like back in your day when you were playing?
Well, you know what? We were cool. And Boomer Esiason, I was lucky enough to have. He called. You know, everybody had their own rookies, and the veteran guys had their rookies. My rookie year, it was Boomer Esiason, myself, and a guy Jack Trudeau came over from the Colts. But my simple duties were, number one, do exactly what Boomer said. Number two, I had to get coffee and USA Today newspapers for those two every morning. So that they weren't too bad on me. So I was very fortunate, but they really busted my stones in the meetings, trying to because Boomer was one of those guys who it was his offense. Everybody adapted to him. He had super high intelligence, and you know, I said, Boom, this is your intelligent offense. I said, and I go, you went to Maryland. I went to Boston College. This is like freshman year 101 stuff. Even though Boomer thought he was the Einstein of football, I used to bust his stones. But, you know, Boomer was great to me. You know, I got a lot of perks from him. He had all these contracts, Nike, Era, New Era football in the hats. And he'd be like, Rook, what do you need? And, you know, he helped me supply my family. And, you know, Christmas time, you're getting $20,000-$30,000 worth of stuff for the family. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome, as Glenn Foley joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. So since you mentioned Boomer Esiason, let's talk a little Jets. Do they get a deal done with Fitzpatrick? Because this thing has gone on for a very long time, as you know, Glenn.
Yeah. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Mark Zuckerberg, the Harvard guys, they know what they're doing. They're smart. They're smart. They're smarter than the guys they're dealing with, and they know it. And you have to have Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick knows that. He's very intelligent, and he's going to push the Jets to the limit. Now, even if it takes Ryan Fitzpatrick to sit back and say, you know what, I'll take $20 million or $30 million, whatever they're offering him is too low. Because he broke the record for touchdown passes in a year, if I'm not mistaken, and you got to pay the guy. I mean, it's plain and simple. You have Geno Smith go out there, you're 6-10 minimum. You have Ryan Fitzpatrick out there, you got a chance to go to the playoffs. So if Fitzy's not playing, the Jets don't go to the playoffs. They just signed Mo Wilkerson, I think $85 million. Now, you don't just throw that away. I mean, you have to pay guys, but Fitzpatrick is the key to the whole offense. You don't just throw Geno out there and expect everything to work well. Fitzpatrick proved himself. Pay the guy. And I don't know what their salary cap situation is, but if there's money on the cap, how can you not take care of the guy who led the team to a really good season last year?
And I know he didn't play well in the final game where he had a lot of interceptions and the Jets didn't get into the playoffs when they lost to Buffalo. But is there a date that they have to set the Jets franchise? Because the quarterback is the leader of that team. Ryan Fitzpatrick is clearly an influential name in that locker room. Do the Jets eventually have to set a date where they say, okay, we get a deal done by this date or we move on?
No. It's Fitzpatrick. It's up to Fitzpatrick. He's going to sign. He's a Harvard guy. Okay, so he may be stubborn, but he's not stupid. So and again, you want to give up 30 touchdown passes from if Geno Smith. If you could guarantee Geno Smith was going to throw 30 touchdown passes this year to whatever interceptions Fitzpatrick threw, then okay, you can feel comfortable with the situation. But guess what? Geno Smith's no good. I mean, I love Big East guys. West Virginia was one of the hardest teams to beat, but I watched Geno. He's not Ryan Fitzpatrick, so they're going to have to pay the guy. They have to pay him, and if they don't pay him, then you're looking at and if there was ever a time that the best thing that happened to Fitzy was, hey, Tom Brady's gone for you got Tom Brady. Tom Brady's got a 12-game schedule. You know what I mean? So we're talking division. You win the division, you go to the playoffs. Well, Tom Brady's not going to be there. I'm not sure if the Jets miss him or not, but I don't know if they miss him in the schedule in terms of his suspension. But the Jets have to come out hot, and they have to come out on time. They have to come out with everything working and clicking, and it's not going to happen with Geno Smith. So Fitzpatrick's sitting in a very, very powerful position. They're going to sign him. And Fitzy's smart enough that he doesn't need training camp. He's a veteran. He just needs to, as long as, and he's smart enough to stay in shape. So, this is just cat and mouse right now with those guys. And it doesn't hurt to have Geno go out there and act as the first team quarterback, because if Fitz gets hurt, he's got to go out there and do that. And he's a veteran enough where if he doesn't need to be there for the OTAs. And, he comes in at the training camp and everythit's absolutely smooth. So, yeah, Geno's reps in OTAs and during this whole debate between the Fitzy and the Jets is only going to help the other quarterbacks. Petty's a good quarterback. Give him more reps. Fitzpatrick knows the game and he understands the game. He doesn't need to be in the practice and going through all the reps. But you deal with the hand you're dealt. And Parcells always used to say to us, "Hey, listen, guys. Whatever the first day of the game is, the ship's sailing. You're either on the ship or you're not. So we have to deal with the crew, whoever's on the boat. So if Fitzy doesn't sign, he's not on the boat, then they got to go with Geno Smith and win games."
I agree with you. They're going to get him back, and it's only a matter of time. And it's been a long time this offseason, but it makes too much sense for both of those sides to come back. And Geno Smith, if he's the quarterback for this team, you're right. A team that could be vying for a playoff spot turns into a 7-9, 6-10 team, and it also will create a messy situation in that locker room because you know how tight Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker are with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
And absolutely, and they just signed Mo Wilkerson to a big contract. So the defense is going to be good, and you can't have a quarterback that's going to be out there not knowing what he's doing, turning the ball over, making careless interceptions, which is why Fitzy is so perfect. you have to overpay the intelligence. You know, he may not be the most physically gifted. He's not Cam Newton, but you know what? He's smarter than Cam Newton. He's smarter than 99% of the quarterbacks in the league. He doesn't have the gifts to get the ball to where it has to be all the time, but his intelligence and his leadership ability in the huddle and his leadership ability in the locker room carries way more weight than what they're offering him. Pay him up until it gets to the point where you can't pay him in terms of salary cap. If they're holding back money, then it's ridiculous that they're not paying Fitzpatrick. Now, he's not Tom Brady, but you know what? He's way better than Geno Smith.
Glenn Foley joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. So let's get to the Eagles. Carson Wentz, and a lot of people, they're going to write things during training camp. I think it's ridiculous when we track every incompletion and every interception that's thrown in training camps because he is a young quarterback and he's going to make some mistakes. But what do you expect out of Carson Wentz? What do you want to see improve here in training camp?
Well, I know Frank Reich. Frank's a good buddy of mine. We played together in New York. And I've been following the Eagles. You know, they brought in Chase Daniel, and they have Sam Bradford. Bradford, I guess, I followed him today. He completed just about every pass, while Wentz struggled in practice, which you know, I always say this. People are like, oh, and I argue with a couple of different radio stations about they don't have that third quarterback rule where they dress three, so you either trust or you don't. So the argument in Philly now is, you're actually going to draft this guy and not put him on the field every weekend? Well, the answer is simply, yeah, you're not going to do that. You got Daniel and you got Bradford. Chances of them both staying healthy is very slim. Wentz will get his time. If the Eagles aren't in the playoffs, the kid will play 4 or 5 games. But you're going from, I would say this, you're going from go-karts to Indy cars. So the kid's got to learn the speed of the game. He's got to understand when he jumps back in college where the place where he played, the punts hit the roof and he played in front of 10,000 people. He's going in front of, 85,000 people on a Sunday, plus millions and millions, on ESPN when he throws 4 picks for touchdowns in the second game if they try to start him. So they have Eagles have a franchise quarterback in Bradford, and a very solid backup. Now, those two there's no way Bradford stays healthy the whole year, and people in Philadelphia, they want Wentz. I'm like, no. Wentz is the third quarterback. He's not going to suit unless Bradford gets hurt. If the Eagles come out 6-0 with Sam Bradford, Carson Wentz isn't going to see the field. And that's just common sense.
How much does the fans play a role in this? Because the minute Sam Bradford throws an interception or loses a game in the fourth quarter, the fans all year long are going to be calling for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, of course they will, and that's just natural. That's the way it goes. But the simple fact is, when Bradford blows his knee out in the preseason, and Wentz has to start, and the Eagles come out 1-7, then they're going to be like, "Whoa, wait, well, this guy sucks," and then all of a sudden he stinks, and it's the coach's fault. Well, no, the plan wasn't to play the kid because he hasn't got. And Parcells used to use this term. Can we take your training wheels off that kid? There's especially young quarterbacks. They come in with training wheels, and you got to earn the removal of them, if you will. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, can I take the training wheels off you yet? And I'm like, Coach, they've been off for years.
What's your favorite Parcells line? Because he just has some of the all-time great lines in press conferences.
Well, I blew out my knee one day, and he came I blew out my MCL in Chicago. And he came in, and I'm sitting there, and I got these real skinny chicken legs, right? So he goes, and my knee's totally wrecked. One's swollen, the other one's real skinny. He goes, "What are those?" I go, "Those are my legs."
That's absolutely great.
I'm like, "Coach, those are your starting quarterback's knees."
As Glenn Foley joins us on the hotline. So with the head coach and Doug Pederson, do you like that hire? Do you have confidence in Doug Pederson to be the right guy for the Eagles?
I love it, and love is offensive coordinator with Frank. I played for Frank, and we always used to talk about, me and him, or we talk about creating the super offense. Well, he went and he worked with Phillip Rivers. He worked with Peyton Manning. Very intelligent quarterback. Played behind Jim Kelly in those years, Super Bowl. has intelligence because he worked a lot with Bill Foley. And when you see these moves in the offseason that the Eagles made, they reek of Bill Foley. And so, I think the Eagles are going to be real good. I think they're not. It's not going to happen this year only because if you look at their wide receivers and some of their specialty spots, they're in trouble. But for the most part, what I thought what they would do well in the first year is that they need wide receivers and they need some corners and some specialty spots. So, I think they're 2 years away. Andy Reid gave Laurie gave Andy Reid about 12 years to not win the Super Bowl. So we'll see what kind of leash he's putting on Pederson. But no, I know there's a high level of intelligence that's in the Eagles locker room right now. So I'm not too concerned about them. They'll win the Super Bowl within 3 years as long as they get some wide receivers and they get some defensive backs.
Wow. So what I want to run by you, though, is this, because the way the plays are going to be called this year is Doug Pederson is going to call the play. He relays it to Frank Reich, and then he gives it off to whoever the quarterback is. And Doug Pederson says he only has 2 channels on his headset, and although Jim Schwartz is going to be calling the plays on the defensive side of the ball, he still wants to be able to have that communication with Jim Schwartz. So he has the 2 channels. Now, I heard Jeff McClain from the Inquirer said today that there's other coaches in the league that have 3 channels, and Jimmy Kempski went on out there and wrote an article how the Chiefs wasted 16 timeouts last year. So you've been a guy that has been used to some of the way that the plays are called. Doesn't this just seem a little bit bizarre the way that the Eagles are going to be calling their plays this year?
No, not at all. Because what happens, and I said this to Mike Holmgren, I said this to Tom Coughlin. I said to all the people that was Charlie Weiss when I was with the Jets, Mike Sherman when I was with the Seahawks, Mike Holmgren. I said to him, listen, I'm giving you until 20 seconds left in the play clock, and then I'm calling the play. So as a quarterback, now it's harder for a young kid to do it. And this is what you saw a lot with Donovan McNabb. Andy Reid and him had horrible communication skills for years.
No doubt.
You see so many timeouts, delay of games. Timeouts because the play wasn't being communicated properly. Marty Morningweg couldn't read the sheet. Andy Reid, I think he ate too much. His eyes closed up towards the end. I'm trying to figure out, and I asked when I used to do radio, I used to say to him, I sit down and I've been watching for 10 years. You have more delay of game penalties with the same offensive coordinator year after year after year after year. How could you not be able to call your own play with 20 seconds left in the play clock? Once you get your personnel, I used to get the personnel, I'd have 15 plays I could call. If the coach stuttered or the equipment went out or they couldn't hear him, I could call anything I wanted. I used to love when the headset went out, and or sometimes the headset wouldn't go out. And Mike Holmgren would call a play, and I didn't like it. I would run my own play, and he would go, "What happened?" I go, "The headset went out." And you're like, I'm like, "Yeah, I couldn't hear you, man. The headset was all frozen. You sounded like you wanted me to go north on I-5." And I was thinking maybe like 2X, 2-jet X drive, which is a play we used to run, which was a little crosswind reach. So I said I couldn't hear you.
I never thought about that, how many times maybe the headset doesn't go out and a quarterback just changes it. But, Glenn, real quickly, right before we let you run, let's just get a little Giants talk in here. The Giants' right side of the offensive line, it's going to be a major question mark. The left side looks good. They have a guy that's going to be going into the Hall of Fame eventually when he retires, and Eli Manning, who's won 2 Super Bowls. What do you expect out of Eli and this Giants offense this year, and which is a very competitive and an NFC East that doesn't have a lead dog to me?
Now, the NFC East just became arguably the toughest division. Now, Brady's out 4 games in the AFC, so right now between Kirk Cousins and what the Washington Redskins, I love little John Gruden. Jay Gruden's doing a great job. I knew him through the Arena Football League. Super high intelligence in the NFC East. So you're going to talk about the war of the East that's going to be in the NFC East. The Eagles are going to be good. The Eagles are poised to be a running football team. Their wide receivers are shaky. Their offensive line is stacked. The running backs are good. The quarterbacks are good. The defensive line and the defense is sneaky dirty. So you're going to get the Redskins, the Cowboys. I think they're going to try to force another year on poor Tony Romo, and he's going to get his neck broke again. But you're going to talk about Eagles, Redskins, Giants. I'm leaning more towards the Eagles as the champs, only because they're going to be able to run the ball better than anybody. My only concern with the Eagles is their wide receivers. Their wide receivers are very shaky, whereas the Giants have Odell Beckham Jr. and they got some. They have Eli Manning, so they're going to. I go Giants 1, Eagles 2, Redskins close 2A, 2B with the Eagles, and then the lowly Cowboys will just come pathetically. They picked a running back in the first round of the draft. That's the worst thing you can do. The Eagles did the smartest thing you could. Go get the most valuable quarterback because they're the cheapest commodities in the draft. That's why all the quarterbacks go in the first 2 rounds in these drafts. But there's no Jamarcus Russell making $150 million when you draft him number 1 or number 2. So I think you got you got Redskins. The Redskins, when the Eagles got rid of Deshaun Jackson, when Chip Kelly got rid of Deshaun Jackson, said, "Oh, that kills the Eagles for 2 or 3 years, unless they get a burn away receiver, which they don't have." So the receivers are going to kill them, but they will be able to run the ball. They're deep at offensive line, and the defense is a question. But they do have Schwartzy back there doing his magic. So no, and I think with Tom Coughlin, you're going to get some adjustment here. Giants do. Coughlin's a stickler for detail, and they're going to be in disarray for a couple of years once they try to figure this new coach out. But guys, hey, great talking to you. I'm down in Ocean City with my beautiful wife, and we're enjoying a great meal here at the Crab Trap down by So
Well, enjoy, Glenn, and say hello to Ed to me. Thanks so much. We appreciate the time.
Yeah, you know what? And one quick note: the Temple Owls. Look out for the Temple Owls. PJ's back. The coach, Matt Rule, came back.
For sure.
The Temple Owls are looking strong, and they look for national rankings early for Temple, and look for them to move up the charts early. They got to beat. I believe they got Penn State again. I'm not sure if they got Notre Dame in their schedule, but
next year.
Temple is for real. My man, good talking to you. I will talk to you guys as soon as you call me back.
You too. Thanks so much, Glenn. There is Glenn Foley joining us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. An excellent spot with Glenn Foley on the show. And I'm surprised because yesterday we had a whole lot of people saying, almost 81% of our audience said that the Eagles would not win 8 games or more. He sounded very confident with the Philadelphia Eagles. As far as who's going to win the NFC East, I don't love the Eagles this year. I think they're more of a 6-10, 7-9 football team because he mentioned the run game is strong. I don't have a big amount of confidence in Ryan Matthews. He needs to stay healthy. Wendell Smallwood, the rookie running back, is a question mark as well. We still have to see what he is able to do. And you do have Darren Sproles, but Darren Sproles isn't an every down back. The wide receiver positions, he's exactly right. Extremely thin at wide receiver. The wide receiving corp is not that good. It's Jordan Matthews and then everyone else. Maybe Aguilar has an improved year, but the wide receivers are not a strength of this football team. The real strength of this football team for the Birds is the offensive line. That is the big strength for this team on the offensive side of the ball. I expect the defense to have a monster year. The change of pace is also going to help them because under Chip, they're running play after play after play after play. Let's go, rapid tempo, rapid tempo, rapid tempo. And that's not the case under Doug Pederson. I just don't get why Doug Pederson can't add a third channel on his headset. Because it seems silly to me to go from Pederson, then to Reich, then to the quarterback, and calling that play and the relay system of that. It just seems silly to me. You could get that third channel in there. I was listening to Jeff McClain today, and he said there's other coaches in the league that do have 3 channels. So with the Eagles, man, I just don't like the quarterback situation right now. I have no confidence in Sam Bradford. I don't think he is that good of a quarterback. He can't stay healthy. And if he gets injured early on, that's when this just becomes a disaster because then the plan of waiting Carson Wentz may have to be changing a bit because I don't think there's too many people that have confidence in a Chase Daniel. In the ideal world for the Eagles, Sam Bradford kills it this year. You can make a trade bait, or he at least gets you to 10 games in this season, 11 games, 12 games in this season, and the final 4 games last quarter of the season, you hand the reins over to Carson Wentz. As far as the Jets go, the Jets have to get a deal done with Ryan Fitzpatrick. It will be a disaster if you have Geno Smith playing quarterback for the New York Jets. And for the Giants are a team that people don't expect a whole lot out of them. They made some changes on the defense. They threw a plethora of money out there for the defensive players. But is it enough? And that offense, the X factor for that offense is going to be the right side of that offensive line. The Giants are a team that could go 9-7, could get to the playoffs. Redskins, can they repeat as NFC East champs? That's tough to do. As far as the Cowboys, if they stay healthy, I like them to win that division. Offensive line is good. I know Glenn wasn't too fond of them drafting Ezekiel Elliott, but I think Elliott is going to be a player in the National Football League from the Ohio State University. When we get back, we'll get you a Mets update. They're playing the first of 2 today in a doubleheader. And when we get back, we also got to talk more about this quarterback situation because I don't like Sam Bradford. And I have some numbers for you after this break and why Eagles fans should not be confident in Sam Bradford this year. And I don't think many of you are. More of the Zach Gelb Show after these short messages.